Hello everybody, welcome to another video from the YouNeed English channel. So in today's video we will be discussing about the modal auxiliary verbs, which is a very useful and practical English grammar. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to start from the definition. Let's see what modal auxiliary verbs are and what meanings they actually imply. So modal auxiliary verbs are helping verbs that express a wide variety of meanings such as ability, possibility, necessity, permission, requests, and many more. So before we start studying the modal auxiliary verbs one by one, you have to keep it in mind that the modal auxiliary verbs do not change the form. It means that they do not take s, es, ing, or ed at the end. And they are always followed by the base form of the verb. So it means that after modal auxiliary verbs, you cannot use the ed form, s or es, or the ing form. So let's get started with the first modal auxiliary verb. Can you guess what the first modal auxiliary verb can be? Okay, so the first modal auxiliary verb is can. So let's talk about the functions of can, the usages. Can is commonly used to talk about ability. It is actually used to talk about the present ability or the general ability. As in example number 1. For example, she can swim very fast. So right now, swimming very fast is her ability. So the next usage of can is that it shows possibility. As an example number 2. For example, this road can be dangerous at night. So the speaker is not 100% sure, so he is just talking about the possibilities. Now, the next usage of can is that it is used to show permission. As an example number 3, can I leave early today? So this question is used to ask for permissions. So in here, we use can. And the next one, we use can for informal requests or offers. Informal requests or offers. As an example number 4. For example, can you help me with this? This is an informal request. Somebody is asking for a help. Now, let's go to the next modal auxiliary verb, which is could. So, how do you pronounce it? Could. Very nice. Functions. So, can, if you remember, can was used to talk about present ability. So, could is used to talk about past ability. As an example number 1. When I was younger, I could run 10 miles. So, this was my past ability. When I was younger, I could run 10 miles. So the next usage of could is that it is used to talk about polite requests. As an example 2, could you help me please? So we use please at the end of the sentence to make it more polite. So could you help me please? This question is actually requesting something in a very polite way. The next usage of could is that it is used to talk about possibility. When could is used to talk about possibilities, it is less certain than can. So you have to keep it in mind that can shows more certain than could. For example, look at example number 3. It could rain later, so take an umbrella. This is a possibility. The speaker is not 100% sure. So he's talking about possibility and he is probably less certain about the situation. The next one is that we can use could for hypothetical situations. So imaginary situations. For example, look at example 4. If I had more time, I could learn Spanish. So right now, I don't have more time and I cannot learn Spanish. So this is a hypothetical and imaginary situations. So the last but not the least usage of could is that could is used to talk about suggestions. For example, look at the last example. You could try calling her again. So once you called her, she did not pick up your phone. So you suggest the other person to call her again. So we can use could in this case to give us suggestions. Very nice. Now let's move on to the next one. The third modal auxiliary verb that today we're going to discuss is may. So let's start from the functions. May is used to talk about possibility. So until now, can, could, and may all of these three modal auxiliary verbs are used to talk about possibilities. So what are the differences? When we're talking about the possibilities, may is better and it is more formal than can. So could is less certain than can, and may is more formal than can. For example, look at example number 1. It may rain tomorrow. So in this sentence, may is better than can because it shows, a formal situation. The next one is that we can use may for permissions. So when we use may for permissions, it means that it is a formal permission. As an example number 2, you may leave now. So probably it is you're in a meeting and your boss says you may leave now. So it means you have the permission to leave now. So we can also use may in polite requests. For example, may I ask a question? So you're asking something in a very polite way. As may I ask a question? It means, do I have the permission to ask a question? Okay, so I hope you've understand can, could, and may. Let's go to the next one, might. So the fourth modal auxiliary verb that we're discussing today is might. So let's get started with the functions. Might is used to talk about possibility. So up to now, can, could, may, and might. All of these four modal auxiliary verbs are used to talk about possibilities. So when might is used to talk about possibilities, it shows a weaker possibility than may. So it is weaker, it shows weaker possibility. For example, look at example number 1. She might be at home now. I'm not sure, so probably I'm sure about 35 to 40% sure that she might be at home right now, but I'm not completely sure. So the next usage of might is that might is used to talk about hypothetical situations like could, as an example number 2. For example, if I won the lottery, I might buy a house. So I'm not very sure. This is just an imaginary situation talking about it. And the last usage of might is that might can be used for polite suggestions. For example, you might want to talk to your manager. So you're suggesting somebody in a very polite way to talk to his manager. Very nice. So number 5 is will. Will. So let's talk about the functions of will. Well, the word or the modal auxiliary verb will is basically used to talk about future actions or events. For example, she will arrive at 5 p.m. tomorrow. So you're talking about future. The next usage of will, which is rarely discussed in most English classes, is that will is used to talk about spontaneous decisions. Decisions like you make at the point of speaking or at the time of speaking. You do not have pre-planned, decisions. For example, I will help you with your bags. So you want to go home in this, on the street, you see your neighbor who's actually struggling with some heavy bags. And then suddenly you decide to help him with her bags. So you say, I will help you with your bags. And then third usage of will is that will is used to talk about promises or assurance. For example, look, I will always support you. So you promise somebody to support the person, always. The next one is that will is used to talk about threats or warnings. For example, look at example number 4. If you don't listen, you will regret it. So it's a kind of, warning or a kind of threat. It means that if you don't listen to your teacher, maybe at the end of the semester, you will feel regretful. And the next one, predictions. Will is used to talk about predictions. As an example, 5. For example, I think it will be a great party. So you're not very sure, you just, make a prediction. You just guess that you think it will be a great party. So the next modal auxiliary verb is would. Let's see what the functions of would are. The first function is that would can be used for polite requests. As an example, number 1. For example, would you like some coffee? So you're requesting somebody if he likes to drink some coffee. And the next one is that would can be used in hypothetical situations like might and could in imaginary situations. For example, if I were rich, I would travel the world. So right now, I'm not rich and I cannot travel the world. So this is a kind of imaginary and hypothetical situation. The third usage of would is that would is used to talk about past habits, habits that you had in the past. As an example 3, when I was a child, I would play outside every day. So playing outside every day was my past habit when I was a child. The last usage of would is that would is used to talk about offers. For example, would you like some help? So you're offering somebody that you're ready to help him. So you ask or you say, would you like some help? It means I'm offering. If you need help, you can count on me. So the next one is the modal auxiliary verb shall. Well, shall is more common in British English than American English, and it is often used in very formal situations. Let's talk about the functions of shall. Well, shall is used to talk about future, but in a formal way. For example, I shall return tomorrow. So you can also say I will return tomorrow, but shall shows, a very formal situation. The next one is that shall is used for offering or suggestions. For example, shall we go for a walk? So you're suggesting somebody, probably your friend, to go for a walk. So you use shall. And the next usage of shall is that shall is used to talk about strong determinations. So you're determined, you're motivated to do something, and you're going to express your strong determinations by using the shall. So we shall overcome this difficulty. It means you're determined, you're extremely determined and you're sure that you will overcome this difficulty. So you use the word shall. So the next one, should. So should is used to talk about and to give advices. As an example 1, you should drink more water. So it's an advice. You can do it, or if you don't like, it's not really necessary to drink a lot of water. And the next one, should is used for obligations. What kind of obligations? Generally, obligations that are your moral duty. As an example number 2, we should respect our elders. It's a kind of obligation, but it's not a very serious obligation. It's kind of moral duty. So respecting our elders is a moral duty. And the third usage of should is that should is used to talk about expectations. For example, you expect something or you wait for something to happen. The train should arrive soon. It means you expect the train to arrive soon. And the next one, the last but not the least, it is must. So let's talk about the functions and the usages of must. Must is used to talk about strong necessity, obligation. So previously we talked about obligation, but must shows a strong obligation and necessity. So it means that if you use the word must, so it means that if the person does not fulfill this action, it might have a difficult or a bad consequence. As an example 1, you must wear a seatbelt. So this is a strong necessity and obligation. So it means that if you do not wear a seatbelt, it might have a very negative consequence. And the next usage is that must is used for prohibitions in negative form, and the negative form of must is the word must not. For example, you're prohibiting someone not to smoke. So you say you must not smoke here. It means you are not allowed to smoke here. The last usage of must is that must is used to talk about strong certainty, when you're completely sure that something is true, so you use must. As an example 3, he must be at work now. So you're sure that he must be at work now because every day he was at work at the same time that you were talking right now. So because you're very sure and you're strongly believe that he must be at work, you use the word must and you say he must be at work. Okay, everybody, this is a quick comparison chart. I'm not going to explain it, so you can pause the video and review the notes or the quick comparison chart if you'd like. Thank you so much, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, like and comment videos. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comment section. Thank you so much. Until next time, see you.